Hey YouTubers, and welcome to another episode here on ESGNet, Sports Gamers Soapbox Talk Podcast. This is episode number 22, and what has been a week in sports. Got some stories here, as always, we're going to talk about. Got some things going on here in the NFL, especially with the New England Patriots. Tom Brady, of course, still suspended, and of course he's not able to play. So let's go ahead and go to Jimmy Garoppolo, see what he can do. Oh well, Jimmy Garoppolo can't do anything because he's injured now, and so now we're gonna go with the third string quarterback. Oh, just got this in. Third string quarterback, he's out. So now we're gonna see Julian Edelman play quarterback. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Also, a great voice in sports. If you don't know who he is or who I'm talking about, he is the voice of the Dodgers. He's been the voice of the Dodgers for the last, now 67 years. I'm talking about Vin Scully and his great career. We'll talk about him, and I'll share you some information about him and his great career. Not to mention, big news in basketball, and this was kind of shocking news. It was broke over, I think, the last 24 hours here there via social media. KG, better known as Kevin Garnett, is officially retired now from the NBA, and so we'll get into a little bit about that. Also, Chris Bosh is in the news. Chris Bosh could be getting close to, he's got some medical issues, and he could be making an early retirement here sooner than later, reports are saying. Also, Adrian Peterson in the NFL there, he's got an issue going on. He could be out for the next 4 to 6 months because of the injury he had that he had against the Packers just on Sunday Night Football, just almost a week ago. And then also we'll get into some Clash of the Champions preview from the WWE. That pay-per-view is coming up this Sunday there on the network. So let's get right into it this week, and let's go ahead and get into let's go ahead and get into some baseball news. If you guys don't know already, that a great voice, a very charismatic, very loving, very knowledgeable person in Major League Baseball is going to be leaving us this season. He spent 67 seasons, or I should say years, but pretty much the last 67 years with the Dodgers as their voice. And I'm talking about Vin Scully. Last night was his last night broadcasting there for the Dodgers. And of course, a lot of people are wondering who is going to be the next person to step up to be the voice of the Dodgers. As actually, I mean, quite honestly, it's going to be a deal where. Whoever does have to try to fill those shoes in, they got a lot to do because Vin Scully's been around for many, many years. He's been with the Dodgers, and he's been with the organization since the organization has moved from Brooklyn, and very knowledgeable of the game. He's if you ever listen to his broadcast, I know from me personally, I've watched here in the last couple of years most of the broadcasts of his via MLB.tv, and especially now where you can get pretty much any broadcast of any team through your tablet or your cell phone. But on a personal note, I a couple years was back in 2006. I had an opportunity to go to a very, very well known school here in the Midwest, if you know about, they call the what is it, the Brown of the Midwest. Very very tough school to get into. I will say this. I spent 2 years at a very prestigious college. I'm very proud that I can say I'm a part of this family. And it's the college is Baker University, and I actually had a really good uh, teacher that taught there, and he was very knowledgeable. His name is Tom Hedrick. He's a voice of many, well known for because of Baker University. He's a alumni or alumnus there. He went to school there many years ago, and he's traveled the world. He's traveled to different places um, as a sports broadcaster. And I believe Tom is in his, I want to say he's in his 70s, maybe 80s, and he's still broadcasting. He's the voice of the Baker Wildcats, still to this day. But he's also been the voice of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the Kansas City Chiefs, back in the heydays, as far as back as Super Bowl one. He did broadcast for them. I want to say baseball, Cincinnati Reds, Boston Red Sox. So, I mean, for the most part, a lot of you guys who have watched or listened to this show don't really know who I'm talking about. You might want to look them up or something online. You probably can Google them. But I actually had a great chance to be under his tutelage for 2 years, in sport, especially in the sports broadcasting class, because I learned a lot. And one thing was that he talked about just how great and how awesome of a career and what Vin Scully's done for the game, and not just the game of baseball, but also the broadcasting side of it. Really telling a story about a really telling a story. Really put a human interest into the game. Really sharing what the players are like off the field. Really getting that great backstory on players and just how they are off the field and whatnot. And he does such a great job. That's one thing I love about him as a broadcaster. He wasn't talking above your head. He didn't talk like he knew everything. And it just I wish I had I wish I have a if I ever get a chance to meet him, I think it'll be a great honor. But I know my teacher, Mr. Hedrick. He's actually very good friends with Vin Scully, and he's actually done some broadcasts with him many years ago. And when you meet people like that, you kind of especially if you're going in that profession like I was at the time, when I was going to school, it was really cool. I think I mentioned this before, but I used to. I think it was that same year, or maybe that following year, I went to a Kansas Broadcasting Association, a KAB conference, and there you meet local television personalities, reporters, well-known reporters, both on television, radio, and in print, and internet. And it was a really great experience. Met some really good people that had insight on the business, on the industry, and who for the most part, a lot of them were just they started off as fans, and then being around the players and being more knowledgeable of the game. Can have, you could tell they had that in their way they presented themselves and stuff like that. And for the most part, down to earth guys. I met like the Kansas City Chiefs voice for their football games on the radio. Mitch Holtz is a great guy, easy to talk to, and that was a lot of fun talking to Kimball Anderson, or I can't remember. Well, I know I can't think of the guy's name. Kimball something, but I know my buddy Steve. He was a big fan of this guy, and Steve almost had a hard time containing himself trying to to meet him and whatnot. And I thought it was really cool and really funny. But yeah, when I went to we went to that KB event. It was so much great because there was so much great local talent that you hear, especially with me, because I when games, especially during the basketball season, or I should say college basketball season, I would listen to games, listen to local talent, and it really. I can't think of his name now, but it's Bob. His first name is Bob. I feel really bad now because he's the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks. For a while there, he was also the voice of the Kansas City, and I think, well, I don't know, he might be still doing it. He might be. He's also the voice of the Kansas City Kansas City Royals. A few years, he's been doing that for a lot of years, but he's well known for his doing KU games. And I actually got a chance to meet him. And the funny thing was, when we were going to the KB event, hours before we were going to head to Kansas City, which we were only probably from my university where I was at when I was going to, was roughly just 45 minutes from outside of Kansas City. And we were sitting there getting ready, and our buddy RJ, who's a big time WWE fan, and sometime I gotta get him on here because he is hilarious when it comes to pro wrestling, because he's another person that's very knowledgeable and just very he's a hardcore wrestling fan. I mean, he's a hardcore wrestling fan. He's now getting into doing or watching indie wrestling, like Ring of Honor, stuff like that, because of me and whatnot. So he's now and he's now more knowledgeable than I am about indie wrestlers than, more so than I am. And I find that funny. But yeah, anyway, RJ was sitting there telling us about, he's like, oh yeah, he says, oh, you guys are going to KB event? We're like, yeah, we're so excited and everything. He says, oh, well, he says, I hope Bob is there. And we're like, oh yeah, the guy that does the voice, he's the play-by-play guy for KU Jayhawks basketball, and I believe also football, or football, and I think he also does baseball. And we're like, oh yeah, it's kind of funny. We're like, what are you talking about? He says, yeah, I just recently found out that I'm related to him. And we're like, what? Like, like, he just nonchalantly just said this, and we're kind of looking at like each other like, what? Like, you're related? And he's related to him by there's a marriage in the family or whatever. And he says, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I about fell over. He says, I was at a family function event. I seen him there. He's like, what the hell is this? What the hell is he doing here? And he said he found out that later on he was like a cousin or something. So I thought that was kind of funny. And my teacher, Mr. Hedrick, he's also friends with the gentleman. I can't think of his name now. That really bugs me now. But Bob, we call him Cousin Bob. That's just how we identified him. He came to our class and he spoke to us and everything, and and one of the names he brought up was a person to ideal career, so not to say the perfect career, but the ideal career, the career that I think a lot of people strive for and whatnot. And the name that was brought up was Vin Scully. So last night, I don't know if you guys got to be able to see the highlights of it, but they had a great vignette piece about him and how he got started in his career and everything. They had this big ceremony there before the game there at Dodger Stadium. Of course, last night was his last night as a broadcaster with them, and So I want to say thank you to Mr. Vin Scully for his awesome career. And like I said, whoever has to fill his shoes, I mean, that's a big deal to deal with. I mean, that's something that you know you can't. That's something like with Vince Cole, you cannot imitate that. That's natural talent, and just he's just so friendly to listen. He is such a. I mean, I've never met him in real life, but I think he, with everybody that I've met that have met him, he sounds like a guy that's just a down to earth guy, and he's very very knowledgeable and very very even though he's well known and whatnot, he's just very humble, and I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool. So Vin Scully retiring, 67 years as a broadcaster for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, all right, now we're gonna move on here to another retirement, and it is Kevin Garnett. According to the USA Today from yesterday, on Friday, the 23rd, it was announced on his Twitter that he said that he was going to retire after 21 seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves, or 21 seasons in the NBA. He had 2 stints with Minnesota, where he recently came back. What was it, a year or 2 ago? Yeah. And then he started his career with Minnesota. He came into the NBA straight out of high school. He was one of the last NBA players to ever do that. He's basically said that this was it. This was that he was done playing basketball. Feel like he gave everything he could give to the game, and which he has. He's won a championship with Boston. He played several years with Boston, and then him and Paul Pierce both left Boston and went on to Brooklyn to play for the Nets. Couldn't really bring a championship to the Nets, but did bring a lot of fanfare and really bringing back that organization to something special again. For those for a while there. So Kevin Garnett, KG as everyone calls him, had a very great successful career in the NBA. And I think honestly, and as far as I know, I've never heard anything. To me, I know for sure he's never done anything on the court to jeopardize his career or anything like that. And I can almost say the same thing for his, for at least right now, I can't think of anything that he has had any controversy or anything with outside of off the court issues or anything like that. But I would definitely say he is a first ballot Hall of Famer here. And then after was it 20? I think he has 5 years to be in the Hall of Fame. But he's definitely a Hall of Fame player. I mean, he just he's a type of player that you want to build your franchise around. Of course, Minnesota, that was their goal to try to do, and there were some rough seasons there in Minnesota, and of course he did his best, and and of course decided to say, hey, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to try to continue my career and be successful in another organization, which he did. We went with Boston, the Big Three. Of course, Paul Pierce, along with Ray Allen. Very dominant there for a couple of years there in the NBA. Excuse me. And, very successful with his career. So, and this was kind of a shocker. I mean, I was actually at work when this when the announcement was made on Twitter, and for a while there, I'm thinking like, okay, this is some kind of hoax. Like, okay, Kevin Garnett, and then they could. I went on to we have like a food court area. We have televisions there for the students there where I work at, and I was sitting watching it, and I was like, wow, it's not a hoax. It's for real. Like, this is like, wow. Like, and then and then when they say how long he played, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize he played that long. I was like, and I was thinking, I was like, well, okay, and it actually kind of makes sense because he did come into the league about the same time as Kobe did. So I think a year. I think Kobe's probably a year. A year more, a year less. No, I can't remember. I want to say Kobe came in. I think KG came in and then Kobe came in. Whatever the case may be, great successful career, and we wish the best in KD in his career. So I don't know if people got 2K, it's, NBA 2K7. They'll have to redo their their rosters there because he's now officially retired and whatnot. So I'm sure, and that's another thing. I think they'll probably have something special. 2K, NBA 2K17, which I just recently picked up. I'm so excited about it. I'm sure they'll do something special for him and his career. So I'm sure there'll be some kind of updates on that. Now moving on, a former teammate of his, or I shouldn't. Well, no, actually, it was not teammates. They actually played against each other several times in several NBA finals. Chris Bosh. Of course, he plays for Miami Heat down there used to be with Dwayne Wade. According to some sources, and NBA insiders and stuff like that, according to ESPN.com, it says that Chris Bosh could be coming to crossroads of his career. He's been I think he's let's see, I'm trying to think. It was a physical that he was unable to complete, and it found out that he had some blood clots in his legs. Now remember, if you guys don't know this, he's actually has some history of issues with blood clots and whatnot, which actually stopped him to play there for a while. He's actually missed quite a few games because of it. And a lot of sources say that Chris Bosh, there could be an announcement by this weekend or possibly next week about his career and what he's going to do. A lot of people say, and a lot of course insiders say that too, that this with this blood clot situation, he could make it, an early retirement and an early exit of his career. So, and that's something you don't want. Regardless who the player is and what they've done, if they're have that much talent and they're that talented and they're still able to play the game mentally and physically. And something like this, that's something really out of his control. It's really bad because as far as Chris Bosh, great guy. He's well loved among the fans of the NBA, and for the most part, he has a great fan base there in Miami and whatnot. It's just sad to see a guy like that have to be forced to choose his career or potentially dying on the court, and hopefully his blood clotting and stuff like that can get can be stopped, and they can stop that from him having that happen to him again, and he can continue his career. Because he's in his he's had some pretty good seasons here in the last couple of years with him, LeBron, and of course Dwayne Wade. Wade, of course, just recently signed with the Bulls, and then of course he's going through some family issues right now because his sister his cousin was shot and killed there in Chicago, in a Chicago neighborhood there, and of course we've mentioned that here was about a week or two ago, and with all the crazy stuff that's going on there in Chicago with all the gun violence there. he's been actually been very proactive in that community, trying to help people in that community and people in that city about the whole gun violence and whatnot there. So our thoughts and prayers still are out to Dwayne Wade's family, and hopefully they can find the person or persons that are involved in that shooting. Let's go ahead and move on now to the NFL with some more injury news. And there's actually two stories. One story is out from New England. The other story is from Minnesota. We'll start with the New England story. Now, New England, just a night ago, they're on Thursday Night Football, beat the Texans 27-0, and a pretty wild game. For the most part, their QB that they got, who is and this was kind of interesting how when I found this out, he is the first black QB for the New England Patriots, and I'm talking about no other than Jacoby. I can't. Oh shoot. Okay, trying to pull it up on my phone here. So yeah, this is a struggle, people. I'm trying to have with my phone here. The third is he's a third string quarterback. If you remember, Jimmy Garoppolo on Sunday night or this past Sunday got hurt and injured in a game, so that took out the second string quarterback. And of course, Garoppolo was named the starting quarterback for the first 4 weeks because of the suspension that Tom Brady's a part. And of course, the now Patriots now 3-0. People are wondering, hey, they can still win without Tom Brady and stuff like that. So Brisson, rookie quarterback there. Blunt really did most of the work in the game, as he had a lot of good rushes there in the ball game. But yeah, final score 27-0. New England there wins the game. We'll take a look at some of the numbers here for New England. Come on now. Oh, my phone. I love it. But okay, let's go ahead and get to the quarterback, third string quarterback. He was 11-19, 103 yards, no touchdowns, no sacks, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Blunt, 24 carries, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. The quarterback had 8 carries for 48 yards, 1 touchdown. And then you had no receivers there. Edelman, Amendola, or whatnot, had any touchdowns. Amendola, 2 receptions, 23 yards. Edelman had 4 receptions for 38 yards there in the game. Pretty much, it was pretty hands down an odd game for the most part. The kickers had pretty much, pretty much it was pretty much a kicking issue. Special teams getting involved there, and just real good job of the kicking. Jozkowski, 2 for 2 for field goals, and then he was extra points, of course, 3 for 3 there. But yeah, just a really good job there from Blunt, really just taking a team and putting the team on the shoulders with the third string quarterback. Now, the third string quarterback, of course, did get injured. I think it was suffered a thumb injury. He'll be out for a couple weeks. So now they're calling up their fourth string quarterback, and it happens to be the wide receiver for New England, and that would be Edelman. So Edelman, of course, a former quarterback himself in college. He is now going to be the fourth string quarterback for Week 4, and they're just hoping that he can survive Week 4 coming up here on Sunday, and not this next Sunday when they play. And people are wondering, how is this going? How is this happening? How is New England doing this? And honestly, I don't know. Again, I'm not a New England Patriots fan, but this is kind of very interesting of how all this is going down, and it's going to be, next week we'll have to see, especially Tom Brady having 4 weeks off and has pretty much sitting at home watching these games going on. People are going to be wondering, is there going to be any football rust on him? He's going to be rusty, or how's that for? Because that first drive, that's going to be a very important drive for him to show everyone that he is in football shape and he's ready to go. So we'll see how that goes next week. There's links down below about the game. You guys can check that out. But yeah, Jacoby suffered a thumb injury, and like I said, wins the game. He'll be out for a couple weeks, but of course he'll be back on the bench again because Tom will be back after next week's game. So, but yeah, you can guys. There's a link down there. There's actually a WEI. It's a radio station there in New England, I guess. A radio clip about about the big game and about the third string quarterback. It's a really good listen to. And then there's also an article from ESPN down there in the links there. So check those out. Now we're gonna move on to some fantasy football news here. So because I know one of my friends, he is very upset about Adrian Peterson going down. AP had a looks like a very serious knee injury, and reports say that he could be back before the end of the season. And others say the season for him is pretty much done. Now it's a injury that's going to last anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I believe it's a tear, and sources close to AP says that he is very, very informed about it. He's very hopeful and patient that he will be able to come back sooner than later on this injury. So, and people were talking about this all week long. And to me, a guy like him, this has to be really tough for him. Was it 2 seasons ago or a season ago, something like that? He had issues. There was some domestic violence issues pertaining to his him whooping his son, and that got on board on social media, and people were just outraged because he was disciplining his child, which to me, it's his business. As long as the child's not being abused, because to me, I'm a firm believer of spankings when they need to be, when it needs to be that get to that point. I don't believe beating children, just for the sake of beating them. But he's had some tough times here, and this is another just time to hear that there was a freak accident on the field, and this happened, and so a lot of Vikings fans are wondering right now, because right now the Vikings are playing really well. They beat the Packers there, and it's like, okay, we. Our meat and potatoes is to our running game, and now our running game is going to be sitting on the shelf for a while. What do we do next? And hopefully the Vikings will come up with some kind of game plan here and continue their hot start that they're having right now. So AP could potentially be gone for the season, but he can come back as early as they say. If he because actually he had surgery just yesterday, I believe it was yesterday he had surgery, so he can be back, they say, as early as December. So we'll see how that goes here for AP there. So all right, not much news going on with the except let's go ahead and get into it. More issues are going on. I was just looking at a video prior to the show here, and they were talking about there was some protests throughout the nation over the last couple of days Of course, we all know the two individuals that were shot and killed. Two unarmed black men shot in. One shot in Charlotte, North Carolina. The other shot in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And of course, everyone's on their. You got both sides making the arguments of what they believe in. Colin Kaepernick hasn't really said too much about the issue, but he has been on the pretty much in a lot of people's targets. There's a YouTube there's a video on Facebook that's floating around of a young woman by the name of Tommy. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. They actually made Trevor Noah on the Daily Show made a really good, strong argument of why are you so angry and why people are always gonna are gonna get upset and vent and stuff like that on television. And pretty much his argument was why is it all right for you to be on television and speak your mind, but you want to tell everyone else to who's upset about seeing things like police shooting unarmed people, not just black men, but just people in general, and you want to tell people to shut up and just move on with your lives. And to me, I think that's wrong. You shouldn't. Colin Kaepernick, he's made a nonviolent protest. That for the most part, I don't think he thought people were going to follow him. So far, there's been many that have said that they're going to back Kaepernick and support him, which is totally fine. And I have actually said this on the show. I will do the same thing if I'm at an event and there's a national anthem being played. I will sit down. I will not stand up or anything, and that's my right. As an American citizen, that's my right. Personally, I think I'm really irritated by people saying that you're unpatriotic and blah, blah, blah. Well, you're being unpatriotic by the simple fact of you're denying people their rights to speak out or to, non-violently speak out on something or taking a stand for something. To me, that's unpatriotic. And I think it just sickens me. And then you want to use the the individual want to speak for the veterans. Well, you're not a veteran. If you are, I'm sorry that you feel that way. But at the same time, in this country, if we're going to say people people in this country are created equal and are free, then we need to do that. We need to quit lying and say that we are, and then we don't. We silence the ones that are oppressed, and that's the whole. That's what pretty much Kaepernick is. In a nutshell, trying to say. But going on, there's some news about some NFL team or some not NFL teams. There was some news on some college football games. I believe it was TCU and MSU. I believe it was last night. They had a protest or a little protest there on the field. It was actually before the game. There, some Black Lives Matter group protest members were there, and they kneeled during the national anthem. And then of course that's another thing, the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I'm for that. I only say that they do the positive thing and being nonviolent and speaking to public and the media in a manner of of being respectful, but at the same time being very being not being being passionate about what they're standing up for, but don't be overly passionate, because that thin line of kind of being too militant will scare people. But yeah, I think it's awesome that a lot of schools are doing this. I know there's a couple of football players that where I work at there. I can't the last couple weeks. I think it was the last home game. There was the majority of the football team kneeled before the football game. There was a couple of moans and groans. People were kind of like, okay, why are they doing this? That's disrespectful. But for the simple fact, the team as a whole are going to be supporting one another. I do know that because I've actually talked to one of the student athletes there, and they said they were gonna they're backing what Kaepernick is saying because they feel the same thing. They have the same kind of things happen to them, just like it was happening to Kaepernick. So. But yeah, and I think, like I said, it's more and more that this goes on. I think it's going to see her less and less about it, and I just hope things get to the better here, so we don't have to always be the discussion every single week, because I mean. People are gonna. If you want this to stop, you want him to do this. Well, you can't shy away from the issue. We need to be able to talk about it. We can't have a logical and respectful and understanding discussion about this. Just a healthy discussion about it. Then the problem's not gonna get solved. It's just gonna be, it's just gonna the problem is just gonna fester on and make it even worse. So. Okay, let's go ahead now and let's get to some lighter news here. Let's get to some let's see here. I thought I had it here on my phone, but cannot find it. I have no idea where it went off to. There was one game that students did protest at. I can't remember exactly. I want to say it was an Eastern Michigan game. I think there's video footage of it that they were doing a protest during. I think they had to stop the game for a while there to get people to leave the field, and of course protect the safety of the players and coaches and stuff. But that led to a disbursement that was non-threatening and whatnot. So yeah, like I said, we're living in a time that we need to be able to have these discussions and be able to be adults about it. But let's move on now to some lighter news, some fun. Let's get back to try and make this lively again. This Sunday on the WWE Network, it is the Raw pay-per-view now. Their exclusive pay-per-view for Monday Night Raw. It is WWE Clash of Champions, and I'm actually kind of excited about this. WWE has not used a WCW per se pay-per-view trademark for, well, really, I think it's for since the Bash of the Beach, or then of course they call it the Bash. So yeah, Clash of Champions for WWE. Basically, it used to be, I think they're pretty much, this pay-per-view this month would usually be Night of Champions, but they're calling it Clash of Champions. And pretty much every single championship will be on the line. So you have the United States champion, Rusev, going against Roman Reigns. Of course, Roman Reigns on the hunt of getting a title around his waist there in on the Monday Night Raw show. And he will be taking on Roman Reigns in a one-on-one match. Of course, this all stems from when Roman Reigns ruined the celebration of Rusev and Lana's wedding, and of course, Rusev just recently made a return back and decided to attack Roman Reigns and teach him a lesson. And finally, Mick Foley says he's had enough, and he wants those two to fight it out. And then have the United States title on the line. So that is going to be I think it's going to be a pretty decent match there. Another match, we got Chris Jericho going against Sami Zayn That is going to be a match. I think one of the matches I'm looking forward to seeing this Sunday. You got Nia Jax and I believe it's Alicia Fox. They'll kick it off in the Clash of the Champions kickoff show. That's a match. This is stemming from I believe Nia Jax attacked a good friend of Alicia Fox, who's a former, I think she's an indie wrestler or whatever. Well, you know, Nia, for just her simple, just being a woman that wants to take charge and dominate the women's division. Didn't really care for Foxy's friend, and of course Foxy, crazy as a fox as she is, kind of went off on Nia, and this would stem from. So they'll kick off the pay-per-view in the kickoff show there in a one-on-one match. What else? So you got the best of 7 match, the final match between Cesaro and Sheamus. Are both 3-3, and the winner of this match will be able to have bragging rights there on the other one. I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of this match is possibly the next number 1 contender for the Universal Championship. Because these matches they've been in, it's been really good matches. They did a great job there, and I think this match 7 is going to be even better. Then we have the tag team titles. We got the New Day going against the guys of Gallows and Anderson for the tag team titles. I believe this will probably be the night that we'll see gold around Anderson and Gallows the first time in WWE. I think this is going to be the pay-per-view that's going to start that, because I think a lot of people are saying that the New Day, their run with the tag team titles right now needs to come to an end. It's just it was a good run. Don't get me wrong, have fun with it. But yeah, we need a bit of a shake-up in the tag team division there on Raw. Let's see what else we got. We got the Cruiserweight Championship returning, as you got T.J. Perkins, who won the Cruiserweight Classic and ended up becoming the Cruiserweight Champion. They're on Raw. It's an exclusive brand title there that only Cruiserweights you'll see or be on Monday Night Raw. And so T.J. Perkins, the champion, will be taking on a veteran who has been a Cruiserweight champion himself. He was one half of the longest tag team champions in WWE history, since of course the New Day broke that record as the longest WWE tag team champions. But Brian Kendrick, he is going to be in that match there for going to be on the he's going to be in the match, and has the opportunity here to be the next returning to be champion once again in the Cruiserweight division. So and Brian Kendrick, I mean, he's near 40, and he is still looking very, very sharp there in the ring, like he was back when he was just 20 years ago. So which is crazy. I find it crazy that he was, last time we seen him in the WWE was 2009, and I was like, wow. I started thinking like, okay, well, okay, it was 2009 last time we seen him, and that's what he was. He brought in Ezekiel. What's his name? Zeke. Can't think of his name, but as his bodyguard. And I remember that. He made his return back in WWE, and he had Zeke as his bodyguard there. So I thought that was cool. It's also too, we got the ladies in action. Besides the Nia Jax and Alicia Fox match, we got We got Bayley, who's making her first title run to the Women's Championship here, along with Sasha Banks, the former WWE Women's Champion, and the current WWE Women's Champion, Charlotte. They're going to be in a triple threat match. Winner of that match will be the WWE Women's Champion for Raw. And then, of course, finally, the last match of the night, the biggest match of it is going to be between Kevin Owens, the current Universe Champion, going against guy that wants to be Universal Champion so bad, Seth Rollins. And I'm going to have to say this as a bold prediction here. I really think that Kevin Owens is going to retain the title. Simple fact that I think Triple H will make his return once again and screw over Seth. I feel that we haven't seen Triple H for a while since he helped Kevin win the title. So I really do see I really see Kevin Owens picking up the victory here by way of having help from Triple H and being part of the new face of the Authority there on Raw. So it should be a great match. Should be a great night for the pay-per-view, and I think something that we should be. It's gonna be something enjoyable. So I can't wait. Got some good matches there. We got 8 matches on the card. Well, actually, 1 match on the pre-show, and then of course 2 or 7 on the actual card. So I'm sure we'll see some other matches as some fillers in there throughout the night there. So, but yeah, that is your preview of that, and hopefully you guys get a chance to see that pay-per-view because, like I said, it should be a good one. Clash of the Champions. Kind of glad they're bringing that back here. I'm hoping that maybe we'll see some other WCW pay-per-views from years past show up more on the calendar here for the next for the 2007 year, so or 2017, I should say, 2007. All right. Well, that right there looks like it's gonna be it for this week for the show. If you guys enjoyed the show, leave a like. Also, don't forget to hit that subscription button and subscribe to some more news here on Soapbox Talk. Here, actually, in a couple weeks, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know. Here in a couple weeks, I'm going to have we'll have a guest here on the show. We're going to bring my buddy Steve. We're going to have him appear on the show. I think we're going to try to do it here within the next 2 weeks, possibly 3. He's going to be on the show here. We're going to, you guys we'll have some topics and discussions as always. And you guys are going to get a chance to meet him and whatnot. Because, like I said, he's been my buddy from college. We actually had a radio show together in college, which was sports radio. We talked about things that were going on in the NFL and Major League Baseball and whatever. So he's a really great guy here, and he's actually been listening to the show here on YouTube, the podcast, and he likes it. And so I told him, I was like, hey, we got to get you on here. Maybe we can even try to get some point. I think I'm at least what I understand, I think Taylor, another friend of ours, is supposed to be in town that same weekend. So maybe all 3 of us can get together, and they can, the 2 of them can come on the show, and we can talk about sports, and especially talk about some local sports, Royals, Chiefs, stuff like that. Of course, a lot of you guys don't care about that, but we can talk about other stuff, nationwide and whatnot. So, also here on the channel, I guess this part to be a channel update. Like I said, I got the NBA 2K17. More Bart Barnes videos will be coming out here later on in the upcoming week. And not to mention, we'll start a new franchise in that game. I haven't decided what franchise I'm going to use yet. There are at least 2 that I'm thinking right now in that game, and we'll get that started as soon as possible. Same thing with the other video. I think the reveal video has been out already, so you guys know who the franchise is. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll have them as our franchise in that. So we'll get that going here for next week. I'm actually working on some other stuff right now for you guys for next week and whatnot. So it's been a crazy week at work, and haven't this week for whatever reason I just decided not to really do too much. So next week's videos, there'll be a few coming out here and there, and then I'll try to get back in full swing once again this weekend. Matter of fact, actually, as soon as I get done with this video, which I'm doing, several hours before it's actually up. It's 1 o'clock right now, so we'll see that this video should be up on YouTube here in the next 7 hours. In that time, I'll be already having a few videos worked on for you guys, and you'll see those. Not to mention, you'll see some Clash of the Champions prediction videos coming up this matter of fact tomorrow. Might seem as early as today, or this evening, or later tonight or something like that, but there'll be definitely some of those here on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. Unfortunately, we didn't have too much going on this week in sports, but I guess that's a good thing. It's a slow week. But thank you guys so much. Like I said, we'll have more content for you guys out here coming up here very, very soon. So thank you guys for watching. As always, like I said, hit that subscription button if you're new to the channel. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this week's show. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Links are down below in the description. And as always, keep yourselves healthy, and I will see you guys next time.